Hello coloring friends, welcome to my channel. So today's video is everybody's favorite video, and that is a completed pages video. This one is my completed pages for the month of January 2025. Let's go ahead and get started with seasons here. I'll just move all these other ones over to the side. So seasons, I am definitely on track with finishing the book here. I finished 3 pages in January, 2 singles and 1 double page. So let's go ahead and break into those. Okay, so the first page here, and these aren't in the order that I color them, just in the order of the book. And is this page here. This is my most recent video up on my channel right now as a color along video. I called it the orange and blue fish. I didn't know what to call it. So yeah, there we have it. I used my Kuretake watercolors for the background. Now this page, I decided to go ahead and tape off the edges. It did get a little bit messy. The tape that I used, I guess I could wipe that off a little bit. It left a little bit of sticky residue, and maybe I should just go ahead and, yeah, I can get to that later. But yeah, I did tape the edges because I didn't want the color to transfer on to the opposite page. This is a page that I still have yet to do, and I wasn't sure how I wanted to color the background, so I didn't want to risk that dark blue going over to that next page. So yeah, I did get a little bit of seepage underneath some of that tape, but for the most part, it worked really well. And also I was trying to prevent it from seeping into the binding, because that, I have had a lot of issues with that with my watercolor backgrounds. And then, you know, it gets into other pages, into the, you know, into the book, and it's just kind of a mess. I mean, usually I'm able to work with it, but yeah, I just wanted to try something a little different. I do like how it looks, but I don't know. There's something about going all the way to the edge of the page that I personally like a little bit better. But yeah, it's always good to try something new. And of course, my Prismacolor pencils for all of the pencil work. I used my Coliro watercolor, the gold metallic watercolor in the fish. So I started using that, and I thought I was going to use it throughout the rest of the page, but it was a little, I don't know, it's a little hard to work with such a tiny brush and keeping it in all the lines, that when it came time to do the gold details on the around the frame and in these little shells and whatnot, I just decided to go ahead and pull out my gold metallic Posca, and that worked really well. And that's what I used over this gem here as well. But I do like the looks of that gold metallic paint. It's just really, it's a really rich gold that I absolutely love. And I used it up here in the fins as well. So yeah, that was a fun page. Okay, and the next page I did was this double page Ice Queen here. And yeah, this was a fun page. This also is a color along up on my channel in case you missed it and would like to check that out. I used Distress inks for the background on this page. And of course my Prismacolor pencils, lots of white, I think it was a Uniball gel pen and Posca pen. I used both. I also used my white Tule Art paint pen because I really wanted to get some white going around this flame here. I also used my dry Neo Color 2 around the flames as well. What else? My white Winsor & Newton for the splatter effects around in the background and a little bit on the image itself. And yeah, so for this page, I was dealing with a couple of things that I needed to cover up. I had some seepage here. So that is what kind of dictated the color I was going to use for her hair, because it was kind of a dark blue seepage that came through from another page, and the watercolor from another page. And so that's why I wanted to go with a darker color for her hair. And then I just kind of went, I found an inspiration page and I just kind of went from there. And the other thing I was trying to cover up was there were some weird spots that appeared on her skin right here. Because I'd used masking fluid around the edges of the image for when I applied the distress ink, I don't know what happened. The masking fluid was right here, and for some reason the gold from the gold, I believe it was a Sparkle Pop gel pen, showed through right there on her skin. So I did manage to cover most of that up. I just went over it with my pencil work, and then I put in little dots of white acrylic paint there, and then just kind of spread it around with my finger, and that seemed to work. So yeah, this one was a lot of work, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. And the next page I did was that winter wheat page. Here it is. Was this one here. And this one I used my Neo Color 2s for the background, but then I went over the edge with some distress ink to kind of darken that up and bring it kind of closer, give it kind of a vignette around the image here, and yeah, just kind of focus the attention closer in on the wheat and the birds. And I like how that turned out. I've done it before, so it's a technique that I use every so often. And yeah, this was a pretty simple page. There's a color along for this page as well. As a matter of fact, you can pretty much rest assured that there's a color along for all of the pages in Seasons here. So yeah, Winsor & Newton on the background for the splatters for that, Prismacolor pencils, and I believe there was like a light blue Tule Art paint pen and white Posca or Uniball gel pen. I can't remember which. I go back and forth between those two. So that is it for Seasons. The next book I worked out of was Maria Trolle's Botanicum, and this was a viewer request. I had a viewer that requested that I do a page out of this book, and so I felt like doing flowers, and so I chose this page here. And this page I called Red Lilies, and there is a video for this one as well up on my channel. And Prismacolor pencils for the image. And for the background for this page, I taped it off and then used my King Art gel sticks. I wanted to try those King Art gel sticks. They were a medium that I got for Christmas. So it was a new to me medium, and just wanted to give those a try, and they worked really well for the background. I just put them on my Caran d'Ache palette and used a little makeup applicator and just applied it with the makeup applicator from the color palette, and that worked really nice. And I believe I used a Tuliart, a pink, really light pink Tuliart paint pen for the centers of these flowers. And then I believe it was my white Posca for the little dots on these anthers here. Or is it stamen? I think it's anthers. I get the two confused. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that page turned out. The next book is Wildflower Folk by Christine Caron, and this is not a video on my channel. It is a page that I did off camera, and it was a buddy color with my lovely friend Natalia over on Instagram. Natalia and Sylvia. The girls were having a buddy color and invited me to join them, so thank you so much, ladies. So yeah, I'll put their pages here on the screen so you can see their work as well. We just had a great time with everything. I love the colors that they used for theirs. I love to see all the different versions of the pages, and theirs are just absolutely gorgeous. So thanks again, ladies, for doing that buddy color with me. And so for my page, I based her skin with my Copic alcohol markers, and then I used luminance pencils over the top of the Copic base. I also based the her hair and the flowers with let's see, was the flowers? Oh yes, and the butterfly with my Ohuhu alcohol markers, and those the flowers and the butterfly I colored with my Prismacolors. Her hair I colored with my polychromos. So yeah, I used quite a few different pencils and pencil brands for this page. And then of course I went over with white splatters with my Winsor & Newton ink. Oh, and I forgot to mention that I did the background with my Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils, which is a medium that I haven't used too much, so I'm just kind of slowly dipping my toe into using those medium. And then I went around the image border with pencil over top of those watercolor pencils. The next book I worked out of was 50 Nighttime Mandalas by Camelia Angelkova. I love Camelia Angelkova's mandalas, and this is just one of my favorite mandala books that she has out. So I actually did 3 mandalas. I colored 3 mandalas out of this book. I don't know, I was just on a roll. Once I finished one, I was like, what's the next one I can do? So I did this one here using my Arteza Twee markers. Actually, I think all 3 of them were using my Arteza Twee markers. And I used my gold, this one was the gold Ohuhu glitter marker. And this one was also my Arteza Twee markers and the gold Ohuhu glitter marker. And this is a speed color up on my channel if you'd like to check that out. I have a whole series of speed coloring mandalas that's just kind of fun to watch. And the third mandala that I colored out of this book was this one here. And yeah, the Arteza Twee markers. But this time I used my gold metallic Posca for the details in that one. So you can kind of see that. Oh, and these pages, you can kind of see that gold glitter marker. This one, it really shows. I absolutely love that. Just so pretty. All right, I had fun with those. The next book I worked out of was Cosmic Spirit, and there is a video for this up on my channel. This page I did early on in the month, And it was this hermit page here. Now I based this all with Ohuhu alcohol markers and then went over, was it Prismas or Polys? Let me check here. It was Prismas. Yeah, so I did my Prismas over top of the alcohol marker, which is my favorite thing to do in these mythographic books. And what else? Oh, this page I used a lot of white gouache. You could use acrylic paint, but I really like the white gouache. And I used it for creating snow in the mountains here in the background and the snow on the trees and a little bit on the leaves here. And I really like how that turned out. That it was a good little, you know, something to try, something new to try. And it worked out really well. So that's it for that page, or that book. And the last book that I worked out of this month was Mythographic Frozen Fantasies. Now this is a brand new book that I got over for Christmas. And so, yeah, I really had a fun time working on this page here. It is not a color along on my channel. Actually, it is a color along from Coloring with Elena. And it is up on her channel, and I followed along. And yeah, sometimes I just feel like following somebody else's color along when I don't want to think about what colors to put where and color choices and all of that. It's kind of a nice little break just to follow somebody else's color alongs. And I mean, that's how I got started with all of this anyway. And so yeah, just something that I really enjoy. And I did use my Kuretake watercolors for the background for this page. That was my first time using watercolors for a background in these mythographic books. And I have to say, I think they really took the water well. Now, I made sure that when I was applying the watercolor, it really did, it was lots and lots of pigment and little water. And I think that's the key, because I mean, these pages are relatively thick, but you know, it's not meant for watercolor and lots of water. So so yeah, it was just very little water with that watercolor. And then I believe I can't remember if it was Prismas or Polys. I did this one early on in the month as well. But yeah, and I think I used my white gouache on this page as well for all these white outlines and whatnot. But yeah, I really like how this turned out, and her videos are great to follow. So yeah, that is it from this book, and that is it for the pages that I colored for January. So one thing I want to mention is I will have a video coming up here in just a couple of days of what I'm going to be coloring in for February. So my coloring plans for February will be out in just a couple of days if you want to check that out. I don't always do coloring plan videos because I'm one of those colorists that I have to be in the mood to color something. So I don't want to commit to coloring a bunch of pages necessarily when my mood might change and I'll be like, no, I don't want to color those. And so yeah, it just kind of depends on my mood. But for February, there are some definite books. There are definitely some books that I want to get into, and a couple of new books, I think, and of course seasons. So I'm going to go over which pages I'm going to be coloring out of seasons. And yeah, so that should be a good video. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.